Welcome to the From the 108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter-like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure, BeefLoaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, MySoxSummer. And your host, he's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom, Chorizy-E.
Thank you, Chorizy. Welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, beer, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If BeefLoaf says allegedly, or that he manifested that, you drink. If I talk music or Star Wars, you drink. And everyone, take a drink, because MySoxSummer did not have enough time to even show up this week. Of course, you can make all of us drink with a tip of $1.08 or more.
Please, more. We would love more, actually.
But speaking of drinking, BeefLoaf, what are you drinking? And are you on the quest?
I am questless today,
Okay.
Chorizy-E. I decided that it was time to finish this bottle of Bombay Sapphire. I drank a lot last week, so I only have a little bit here. So I think I should be able to knock that out during the show. Gin and tonics, and in case I do, I got the backup. I got the Tito's in backup just in case we need, because we're both off work tomorrow. So
clear liquors. It's beautiful. I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were just talking too. Like the Fortissimo has been difficult to come by. We're having trouble finding
impossible by the way.
Impossible. And we're going to be out of town this weekend, having some cocktails. I'm sure some beers.
Oh yeah.
We'll definitely need a liquor store run. I think this is when we find it. Like we find it in some like small town that we didn't expect. But
well aged, by mind you. That's in the corner. No one's bothered with this for years. So yeah,
floating at the bottom.
It'll be treacherous to try. Tracy, what are you drinking? Yes,
I am on the quest. We're popping bottles. Let's see if I can even open this fucking thing.
I love it.
For like 40 years.
Don't poke your eye out with the cork. All right.
I mean, that's the thing. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the force.
You never know how long a bottle of Mums has been on the shelf, you know? Like half of this shit that we've been drinking, that's like the biggest concern I have for any of it is like, how long has this been sitting here? I don't feel like anyone else drinks this.
Wines, generally, you're okay as long as they're not stored terribly. I mean, even a couple of years, you'd be fine. Even with those cheap-ass wines, they're usually okay. So
the red Moscato, I wasn't worried. I figured that flies off the shelf. But I'm not making the same mistake I made with that. I have some waters, some sparkling waters. And I didn't know Guy Fieri made a sparkling water. I got it. So like, yeah.
Holy shit.
We're going to Flavor Town too. So that's it's gonna be quite a night. I'm very excited.
I respect it. Sam Reeves in the comments, is this cottage week? # cottage weekend. It is, in fact, cottage weekend for us. So we're going to get away for 4th. I don't enjoy the 4th of July in the city. I mean, we're not getting into banter yet, but it's just too much at this point in my life. I'm not into fireworks at all. 108 Morton hates it. So it's good to get him out. And it's like, yeah, we'll just go somewhere quiet and hang out for the weekend. Let you guys enjoy all these fireworks. I'm just not into them. I can't do it.
That's some good mums.
Very mummed right now, are you?
Very mummy. All right, let's get a drink here too.
Let's do it.
Jerry O'Sullivan, he says, let's get you both drinking. Cheers and happy 4th. Happy
Jerry.
4th.
Bless you, Jerry. Happy 4th to you, my friend. I'm sure you'll be tipping a few back.
I'm going to talk a little bit of Independence Day here, Beef, because
go for it.
One of the greatest things about being an independent country like ourselves is that we can do things like have hot dog eating championships. On goddamn ESPN. And
whether Chuck Swirsky likes it or not, we're gonna do it.
Exactly. It's his right. It's his right to say that it's only for the fat, obese pieces of shit that we are. And it's my right to say, yes, that's right.
Exactly.
And our guy, Pat Bertoletti, is obviously in it, but Joey Chestnut's back.
He is, yeah.
So if you're a gambling person, like we tend to be, then you've noticed that they have lines for just everybody but Chestnut.
That's right. They do.
Bertoletti's leading the pack, right? And so like the other day he was like plus 180 to win the without chestnut version.
Yep.
He's down to plus 135.
Nice.
Like people are betting. We were just on text beef with our guy Sammy P, and he's like, "What the fuck is happening? We've gone from 49.5, where both Sammy and I got Bertoletti. We got the over 49.5. It's at 53.5. It's at 55.5 at Circa. Like this thing is all over the place.
I saw it this morning on Bet Online, 52 minus 160 on the over, and I was like, wow, that thing's surging. I didn't know it kept going that far. Fuck.
So, Beef, you're going to try and middle this or what? You're going to try both sides?
I have no piece. I didn't get any piece of it because I wasn't set up. Here's the thing: you got to be set up in specific books because
they don't
all the books will run it. Yeah, I would say most of the U.S. side books didn't run it. I don't have any offshore outs currently, and although with the recent with the big beautiful bill coming through and changes in the winnings and all that shit,
I think
I'm gonna have to get some offshores lined up for when I want to gamble. But we're not gonna get deep into that, but. I think it's a great mental opportunity, to be honest with you, because I think the last time when Patrick was on with us, he was shooting for that somewhere in that low 50s, right? He was trying to get his total from last time, right?
He was still short of 50
in his training at that point.
But like last year, he was coming up on it, and we didn't have as much access to him pre tournament. We didn't know that he was a guy that was exactly like us and would come on here and just talk shit. Right. And so one of the things about it was that he was not doing that well up until a few days before. He gave himself some rest. The last couple training sessions, he really unlocked something, and then he went and he won the fucking whole thing. Yeah. So I'm rooting for him. I hope I can't bring myself to bet an under on him now. So even though I have the good
end of the show,
the good over number, and now there's a good under number coming, I'm staying on one side. We're gonna let it ride, baby. We're gonna let it ride.
Are you a little soul crushed though that that Chestnut came back? Because I think our boy Pat was ready for a repeat here, man. It was going to be a back-to-back championship, and then the 8-time or whatever champion comes strolling back in there, and then so that's probably not going to happen. I would say he's a big underdog to pass Joey Chestnut.
He is a big underdog. I saw him at plus 1,600, where I was like, I got to get a little taste of this.
I like it. I respect it.
Bet Rivers is such a pussy book that
always.
I was like, I'm gonna put $25 whole on this, so to win 400, right?
No way.
They said max 1461.
Say there's no way they're letting you bet that much.
Like this is probably my worst bet I'm ever gonna make. Right? I'm betting
it's free money for the house, and they're like, we'll only take $14.
I'm betting against a guy that's a fucking human dumpster. Like, and so like. And they're like, no, we can't take that risk. We can't take that risk. Then we'd have to pay you out $400. One of the largest gambling wins in the history of gambling.
Maybe it is better that some of the onshores are going away. They don't take a bet anyway. What the fuck? Such pussies, man. Bet Rivers, get the fuck out of here.
Well, please sponsor us, Bet Rivers. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No real interest there. If you can't take a $25 bet, you can't pay us.
I would send none of our people there. That's the thing about having a sponsor. People are like, sponsor you just to get money. No, you have to vouch for the place because you're sending your people to this place to conduct business. You fucking vouch for some bullshit outfit like that, or at least we wouldn't. We don't have that kind of thing. We're not going to do that shit. So
no, I'm talking shit about him right now. I probably wouldn't vouch for him. Let's get a drink real quick.
Let's do it.
Our guy Trey says, "Busy, but cheers, guys. Get drunk."
Oh, cheers, Trey.
Thank you. We will.
I see that happening.
Well, I got a couple of messages from Alex Rude that we got to get to. He said, "Save the text talk until our episode of the Ajou.
That'll be on the 14th, so anyone want to see that."
And then that's not him. He said, "Bertoletti's down to plus 1,000 on DraftKings."
Oh, wow. I like to see that move.
And I do like this the Glizzy Goblin contest. That's the thing, though, Beef. You were saying like, am I a little bit sad about Chestnut coming back? In a way, yes, because I think Pat could run it again. But in another way, I'm not, because I think this gives Pat a chance to show himself against Chestnut, because I think, you know, it's tough to win it when the best guy is sidelined, right?
Right.
So you go out there, anything can happen, man. If Chestnut has an off day and Bertoletti touches 60, right? It's up for grabs.
Agreed. No, I was going to ask you that
reversal
question.
of fortune, you know, a little overconfidence.
He's out of practice. He didn't do it last year, you know, and I'm sure he's been competing, but not to the level that he had been because of this. And you're right. I was thinking that in my head, like, what's a great outing for Patrick Bertoletti in this situation? It's get to 60 dogs and be within shouting distance of Joey, right? Because if he gets to 60, no one else is going to be close to that. It's going to be just them two regardless. And so if he can just make it a race to, you know, if we get down to the last 2 minutes and we don't know who's going to win between the two of them, I think he did a great job. I'll just put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know what bet I would like to be able to bet right now, because they're close friends too. Because they're close friends. If I could bet a combination Bertoletti and Chestnut of like over 129.5 or something, right? Like that'd be, because they would both be pushing their all-time highs to get there. But like 130 dogs between those two guys would be fucking electric. So I don't know. I'm excited for him. I think it's really cool. He's, you know, I was out for drinks with Sammy P last night, and we went through like how many world records Bertoletti has, and it's like 34.
Holy
shit. 34 different world records. So yeah, so I mean, like the guy's a machine. Even if he doesn't win, he's still the best eater to ever come on this show. Easily. And that says something, because we
got MySoxSummer,
the fat show. Yeah, he's out right now out eating Ozempic. So
I mean, I'd love to see Bertoletti versus MySoxSummer cookie cake eating competition.
Oh my god!
If Bertoletti beats him, that's got to be another world record. I'll be honest with you.
Bertoletti would finish the cookie cake first, but MSS would finish first. Let's just say that. Like,
no question.
Beef, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. There's a ton of things going on out here, Chorizy, and we're not going to have time to get to all of them, but one that I wanted to make sure I got to.
Let's see.
let's see how that goes. One that I want to make sure I got to. Watching the game last night, Sox are in LA, and LA is a classic place to watch a game, because as soon as MLB.TV started up and you could get like all the games, the nighttime is generally just filled with a handful of markets. And so when we were first watching it, I know I would always tune into Dodgers games because I wanted to hear Vince Scully. Yeah, exactly. Because Vince Scully's just, you know, he's an all-time great, and he's a great storyteller. And it's just like one guy doing all that is just sort of an amazing thing that you should, listen to while you can. And we had limited amount of years left to listen to it. We listened to a bunch of it. But one thing I miss about current watching the game at Dodger Stadium is you don't have the stars behind home plate. I don't see Larry King, fucking 90 years old, slow eating a ice cream sundae, or Mary Hart, or a lot of people that would sit behind home plate. And it kind of got me thinking about baseball in general and celebrity connections. You know, this current era, I was thinking there's very few baseball players that are married to or have celebrity girlfriends. I mean, the only two that come to mind at the top of my head are Verlander is married to Kate Upton. Okay, so that's a real obvious one. But you have to go down the celebrity hierarchy quite a bit to get to Livy Dunn with Paul Skeens.
Oh, yeah.
And so it cracked me up yesterday when I saw this comparison of MLB salaries versus OnlyFans salaries, Chorizy. And right up at the top, you see Sophie Rain at $43 million. Bonita Stakey called me a pervert that I know who Sophie Rain is. I tried to explain to her, Sophie Rain's all over fucking Twitter. Retweeting all this shit, you know. But and she's making more money than Aaron Judge makes every year. And then you got Bella Thorne and Iggy Azalea and Black China, and all these people making over 30 million. And you see Altuve and these guys, Anthony Rendon and Trout. It got me thinking, like, Sophie Rain, if she married Aaron Judge, it's a fucking step down for her, man. And so my question for you, Chorizy, is am I coming to the realization that baseball players are just huge dorks and no celebrities would want to marry them, like this era of them?
Can I ask a question here, though?
Yeah.
Do you believe those numbers? The
No, I don't believe the baseball players will ever really get those numbers. I think they're just advertised out there for the game, and Aaron Judge will never get $40 million. That's bullshit. No. Oh, you mean OnlyFans? OnlyFans? Yeah. No, I think they're pumped up. Obviously, I think there's like there's a level of this person's making a huge amount of money, so sign up for OnlyFans and do all the stuff you need to do. I have no idea if it costs anything to sign up or kind of what, but build up our website for us with a bunch of random people. You too could be this person that makes money. So I think it's a bit of a fraud. But I still find it hilarious that there just aren't celebrity wives and girlfriends in MLB. Why is that?
I would say that it's probably not great to be married to any of those people. It's probably an iffy relationship.
Your mileage may vary on and not all of them. They're less. Those ones are less sex workers than they are famous people that are on there. So it's
Beef. I think one thing is that. MLB players, I don't know if you've heard about this. And this happens in other major sports as well. And this is, I don't want to shock anybody, but they cheat on their significant other constantly.
Yeah, well, I've heard of that. Sort of thing.
And so maybe the professional athlete is not the most desirable mate for someone who's already famous and has their own money.
Well, this is what I thought they would be, Chorizy, because the celebrity
they want to fuck around too.
Yeah, exactly. They'll have those kind of relationship. Not everyone is Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. A lot of people they get together for a little while and then they break up. When Derek Jeter was in the flow, he always was dating someone famous or with someone famous or whatever. No, nothing. I don't see anything. There's no famous people, no famous wives or girlfriends at games. And Kate Upton is the most famous, I think, by a fucking mile. And she ain't even really that famous,
Is there any level of it that they are there and we don't know who the fuck they are? Because we're old guys?
I don't think so, because they make a big deal about it. See, this is the thing. Like,
that's true. True.
A big deal would be, that's why there's a huge deal made about Livy Dunn, right?
Yeah.
With Paul Skeens. And Livy Dunn's not even that big of a celebrity. She's a celebrity, but she's not a fucking. If she's hanging out with my guy, baby Gronk, she ain't that big of a goddamn celebrity. That's what I'm trying to say.
I only know who she is because she's dating Paul Skeens.
Right, exactly. That's right.
But that's no shot against her. I have no idea what's going on these days. Like I watch a shitload of baseball. I work a lot. I don't have a lot of time for anything else. I watch, and if I do have time, it's Star Wars. So we're all the time. If she's not in Star Wars, I probably don't know who she is.
Yeah, exactly. Jerry Sullivan says, not since A-Rod and J-Lo. Yeah, it feels like baseball just hasn't.
Well, A-Rod had a bunch too, right?
A-Rod. So that era of player, A-Rod and Derek Jeter and them guys, they did. But this era, they're famous. They ain't got fucking nothing, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, it's weird. And like, we have grown up in an era where other pro sports, they seem to attract a lot of celebrity women to them.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I think you mentioned that you don't see the celebrities just sitting in the stands at the Dodgers games. Yeah, I think baseball's fallen out of favor a little bit.
It's just maybe you're right. Maybe that's what it is.
It's just seen as a boring game, and I think that's why they have to start injecting rules like they did with the pitch clock, like they've done with the amount of times you could try and pick someone off. All those things are meant to speed up the game to make it more interesting, because they realize they're losing this younger fan. They're losing a lot of people that would go, like, think about if you're a celebrity, right? Like, do you want to go to like the high upbeat, lot of fun NBA game that's going to take 2.5 hours? Or do you want to go to the 3.5 hour baseball game in the sun? What?
Right. Exactly. It's a no-brainer. It's an easy call. NBA game.
Exactly. Call. That's why you got Shelmy on the sideline, turning lifelong LA people into Knicks fans. It's just a wild scene over there.
Now, basketball's always had that kind of thing, and it goes way, way back for basketball, right? I mean, the Showtime Lakers have Jack and everybody with fucking courtside. But even in here, like in Chicago, we didn't have a huge fans, but we did. There were celebrities hanging out there, Billy Corgan and everyone. So like, it is interesting that there's just kind of nothing. I mean, maybe the Yankees and Mets have some famous people in there, but like, I'm watching the Dodgers last night, nothing. And it's like, other markets should have famous people. There should be famous, spouses. There's just fucking nothing.
Should they make maybe they need to make a bigger deal of this shit.
Maybe.
Right?
Like, try to push it out,
Because when I do go to Cubs games, it's a lot of times on my company tickets. Not to brag on where they're at, but they're very close.
Yep.
But Cusack sits down. Like Cusac's always there. If I watch a Cubs game, I don't feel like I ever see them go, hey, there's John Cusack, right in front row. They don't.
No,
and I don't know if maybe he's like, hey, don't do that because I don't want anyone to see me ever, but I sit right behind home plate. But
if Jack White's there, they do that. You see him, they'll put the camera on him, or Billy Corrigan or whatever.
But they should do a better job of that.
Yeah.
They should be giving away tickets for free to these celebrities and bringing them in there. And I think maybe they don't do that as much anymore.
Mailman Jack says, Brooke Fletcher isn't a big enough celebrity for you. I mean, she works for the team, and I would have never knew who she was if she didn't work for the team. Let's be honest with ourselves, all right? It is what it is. Like, it's very bizarre to me, Trees. I'm not, I can't get my arms completely around it there.
Now, when you watch these OnlyFans girls, are there any celebrities there to watch them? Or like
I don't know. I don't have any logins on any of those. Even despite my daughter thinking I'm a pervert.
We'll have to get MySoxSummer to tell us about that. Let's get a drink here. That's from our guy CJ. He says, got to turn and burn. More work issues. Ugh. Cheers. Cheers, CJ. Man, they've been working him to the bone, man.
I know. What the fuck, man? I came to the ballpark the other day. You look tired from work, man. You gotta need some hours off, CJ. Get some rest, bro.
Yeah, dude. But anything else, Beef? What else you got on your mind? I feel like you got shit on your mind.
I got one that I've been holding for you for a while.
Oh,
I kind of wanted to do it with MySoxSummer just because he might get in between this potential sparring that could happen here. But I pulled this, and this is probably from 2 months ago. I pulled a Sam Harris comment on Joe Rogan. And I don't know if you know who Sam Harris is. He's a public intellectual, which is the phoniest bullshit ever, a public intellectual. But we'll just go with it for now, Chorizo. So
I'm also a public intellectual.
So he's discussing Joe Rogan. He said, Joe is a genuinely good guy who wants good things for people, but he is honestly in over his head on so many topics of great consequence. Then he said, society is politically shattered in part because of how Joe has interacted with the information. A lot of this is inadvertent, but it's also avoidable, Harris said. Rogan could actually take the responsibility that really is his to take at this point to get his facts straight. Harris then added, he could have two brilliant journalists whose full-time job he could be to be paid $1 million each just to sit there and fact check things so he doesn't put in his foot in his mouth in a colossally irresponsible way. Now, my question for you about this, Treasy, is not about specific fact checking or whatever, but is how much on an entertainment product is it on the host to ensure everything is factually accurate? And does the size of that entertainment product matter in that process? Or should everything just be considered entertainment and your mileage may vary as you ingest such things?
Yeah, see, I think there's a few facets to this. So one is like, I don't think it's on the host to fact check the guest on everything, right? There's no way, because you have no idea what they're going to say. So it's almost impossible. Even if you did have these guys sitting right there, if someone comes off the cuff with the craziest ass theory you ever heard, or it's something that's like a thing that I always get entertained by on a lot of these like conspiracy type things that I watch on, whether it be aliens or like moon stuff, or, all that kind of stuff, is like some of this stuff is impossible to debunk, but it's also impossible to prove, right? Like, so when something like that comes up, is it Joe Rogan's responsibility to figure that out? Like, or even his fact checkers that are like, if they're sitting right on his wings doing this, or is it just something where like afterwards you as the listener can ingest it and go, well, that sounds fucking weird. Let me check that. I think what Sam might be alluding to though is something that I have like over the years have seen Joe delving more and more into, and I'm only an occasional listener. But in the early days, Beef, and I think you listened back then too.
I used to listen a lot back in the day. I listen a lot less now, and it's only because he moved to Spotify, and I forget that he's
he would interview and kind of like just kind of take it all in, right? And now he has a lot of very specific views, some of which are fringe pseudoscience type things.
Yeah, and
like he starts trying to inject those into the conversation, and I think that that's a good place where like he should be fact checked. He should, and his producers should say, after, you were talking about this, I think you meant this. And in some cases, I've seen clips where they do that in the middle of the show. So I think to some extent they are doing that. I will say I just finished him with Bernie Sanders. I'm a big Bernie. I like Bernie Sanders a lot. I think he's an interesting mind. I don't think I agree with absolutely everything that he says. I don't think you can agree with absolutely everything someone says. But like, I think he's a very interesting mind. He thinks about things in a very interesting way, and he's a very like human forward person. Like he's always trying to think of like, how does this affect my constituents? How does this affect people? Which is a great way for a politician to be. But so, and even if you don't agree with, what he tries to do to make those things happen, or, whatever, he thinks about those things in a good way. I was interested. I thought it was really interesting how Rogan handled that interview, where he didn't inject that much. Okay. And when he did, Sanders was willing to fact check him. He was willing to fact check Sanders on different things. I thought it was a good back and forth. And that's the type of show that he used to do, and I think was very effective. He also just had on a guy that I watch all the time. It's AJ Gentile, who does like this show called The Y-Files. I love the show. I've shown it to you before, Beef. He kind of like goes through the topic and then he debunks it in the second half. Or sometimes he's like, I don't know if we could totally debunk this, but here's what I have. And it's a good show. His fish thing on there is weird, but like it's fine. And in that one, he kind of let AJ just kind of run with a few like really crazy topics. And then like in some parts he's just like totally agreeing with them when I could tell he'd never seen any of this.
He's just trying to get him to keep going, right?
Yeah,
keep going on this path.
And like I was wondering like how much of that is like being a good host and like really letting this guy spin out of control and be entertaining, or how much is it his responsibility to fact check about fucking crop circles, right? Like so I think that to me, I think a lot of it is it's supposed to be entertainment, right? Like I don't, if you're going to Joe Rogan he's a fucking comedian that has a podcast. If you're going to him for factual evidence of all these things, you're listening to the wrong show, right? Like, so I love Bill Burr. I listen to Bill Burr's podcast. I don't take everything that Bill Burr says as fact. I don't think I should. Yeah. And so I think that those are the types of things you got to like kind of keep in mind. Like this is what it is.
Yeah. If
you enjoy that kind of free form 3-hour interview, listen to it.
Yeah. Get down, dig in, baby.
Don't believe everything that's said, because again, I keep breaking news tonight, but like some people are full of shit. So you got to keep that in mind.
No question. And kind of the reason why I brought it up is because I remember a long time ago on the 108 podcast, in a little while we're gonna get some commentary on this year's version of the 108 podcast. But I told you after a show something that you fucked up factually in a show, and you said, "Don't tell me afterwards. Stop me right in the middle and say, no, that is not correct. We need to guide the audience in the right direction." Now, that was a statistical thing.
We're talking stats.
Yeah, not a theoretical thing. Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and like there's not a lot of pseudoscience in Major League Baseball statistics, right? Especially in baseball, right? Because it's such an individualistic sport. But there are things where you can misuse the evidence that you have to make a case for somebody, and in those cases, I think I would let you go. Like I might call bullshit if I vehemently disagree with it. We had a good conversation. We had a good conversation about Kyle Teal in the stands the other day.
We did, yes.
Where you pointed out his BABIP, and like it was like 469 or something crazy. Yeah. And I said, well, he is hitting the ball really hard. But the other things you got to look at is how often is he hitting on the ground? What's his speed to first base? How often is it like a bullshit blooper that like drops in? Like there's a lot of pieces to it. But we could agree that 469 is way higher than it should be, and it's going to come back to earth a little bit.
Right?
Maybe not down to league average. Like maybe it never gets back down to league average just because of the player that he is and the speed
the quality
of
the way he quality of the hits the ball and everything. Yeah, that's right.
And so, but like if you were to say that on the show, we would talk back and forth on it, and I don't think either one of us could be proven right.
No.
right? Like this.
No.
It would take years to figure that out. But
Correct.
But yeah, but it's also like if you were just to have that say and like I just nodded along, that'd also be fine. Like you're not lying, so
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I've long thought that shows like that are etched in entertainment, and sometimes you're just going to give the entertainment. And you, like you mentioned, Rogan's style, especially his old style, was more to just keep the conversation, lighting fires under the conversation, so that it keeps going. And his knowledge base is generally very wide but thin, so that he can do that. So he can keep propping that up, and so that's why he was always great at it, because he had he was interested in shit, and like he could talk to. I mean, when you listen to Eddie Barstool, he's similar. He's interested in a lot of shit, and he knows a little bit about stuff, so he keeps propping the thing up. And so interesting. I just want to get your thought on it.
I think the thing you have to think about too is that like Joe Rogan runs a comedy club, right? Like he's been in the comedy scene for a long time. You imagine the fucking characters you talk to on a daily basis when you're running a comedy club or something, and all kinds of different motherfuckers, right? Like So I think that lends to his ability to talk to like all these different people and have a good time and keep things interesting and let people go on. If they're gonna be rambling on, that's great for your business. That's great for everything, right? Like so, I think that from that extent I get it, right? Like if we have someone on and they're talking about like old weird Bridgeport stuff, we're not stopping them. We know exactly where to poke and press to make that even more ridiculous.
Yep. 1,000%. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate that.
Man, this Mums is good. Woo.
Lovely.
Anything else, Beef? Anything else you want to get off your chest? Because I want to bring up something for us. I got our season-long bets.
Nice.
All right. So as you know, if you've been listening to the show, me and Beef and MySoxSummer actually have over 49.5, not just on Patrick Bertoletti, but on the White Sox wins for this season. Right now, Beef on pace, 53 wins.
I love it.
So we're looking
got
okay there.
Jumbo-quito.
I don't know how we're looking after the Dodgers series, but we'll see.
Hopefully, they squeeze one win.
Now,
squeeze one for me.
Here's where we're getting into a little trouble. Over 555.5 runs scored. That's your steak dinner bet.
Yeah,
they've been having trouble scoring lately.
Yeah,
they're on pace for 549.
Yeah. I need one of those crazy Colorado games this weekend where they score like 15 runs. That's what I need.
They got 3 games in Colorado this weekend. Now, I keep being the bringer of pain for everybody who's getting happy about the White Sox, who's encouraged. If you want a good gauge of how bad the Sox still are, there are only 2 teams in the league right now that have not scored 300 runs yet. Beef, do you know who the other one is? Because it's not the Rockies.
It's the Kansas City Royals.
Yes.
They have a horrible offense.
So they're right there with the Royals in terms of offense, which is not good. And then the Rockies, and albeit they have a better park for this, have eclipsed the 300 number. So the Sox are still chasing that. They're still 12 off the pace. So we got to hope we get to that by the end of the weekend. All right, and then the last one, Beef. Pete Alonso. He's in 6th place with 66 RBI. He's 5 off the pace only, but he's moving in the wrong direction. This Mets team, man, I'm concerned. I'm concerned with the Mets. I don't know what's going on over there. We'll see. Maybe they need Andrew Benintendi. We don't know.
Beef up that offense.
Prop up that offense.
Bring a White Sox player in to beef up your offense. That's always a great idea.
As I just said, they've already scored 288 runs this year. Beef, we got no MySoxSummer. Yep. I'm going to need you to pay some bills.
Let's do it. Lawrence's Fish and Shrimp has been serving you since 1950 with 4 locations in the Chicagoland area. Evergreen Park at 3242 West 87th Street. Olympia Fields, 3248 Volmer Road. Chorizy, do you know where Volmer Road is or no?
I don't.
Okay,
is it near Bolo, Illinois?
I don't think so. There's one at Hillside, 50 South Manheim Road, and obviously the mothership right here in Chicago, 2120 South Canal Street. That's where we go. A lot of people don't know, Chorizy, that Lawrence's has a rewards program. You sign up and you get 5% kickback on your orders. Couple that with whatever points you get from your credit card company, and the shrimp and shit are basically free. So get in there and make sure you do that. What I realized is that you also get a heads up over any nice promotions they have going. They'll send you a little text message. Say we got this happening, this special thing. Also in Lawrence's, they have daily specials. I don't know if you knew this. Monday, 1 pound of whitefish chips for $12. Tuesday, 1 pound large shrimp, $15. That's a fucking deal. We need to get out there on Tuesdays, Trees, and you get the large shrimp, man.
Fucking right.
Wednesdays, 1 pound of lightly breaded shrimp. That's for the farmers like MySoxSummer who don't know that they should get the regular breaded shrimp. That's $17. Thursday, they got full catfish strips, $14. And Friday, full ocean perch, $13. I had an idea for you, Chorizy, about Lawrence's. You know how when we used to run the fantasy football league for 108? It's been a while since we've run it.
Yeah.
And in fantasy football leagues, the winner gets a prize, but the loser ends up having to do some sort of dare.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Instead of going to Waffle House, what about 24 hours at Lawrence's for the punishment? That's not a punishment. And every pound of shrimp you eat, you can chop 1 hour off. I almost want to finish last just so I can go to Lawrence's and be there for 24 goddamn hours. I'm not certain we'll do that, but if we do run a fantasy football league, that is going to be the punishment. Order now at Lawrence's fishandshrimp.com. It's Lawrence's Fish and Shrimp, serving you since 1950.
Now I'm really wondering how many fried shrimp I could eat in a day. You know, it's funny.
24 hours?
We can't have Bertoletti in this league because if he loses, we're just on the hook for a shitload of shrimp. They just buy him like it'd be like, yeah, he was there for an hour. He ate 23 pounds of shrimp.
Mrs. Beef says, I love the lightly bread. Yes, I know. That's for the farmers. That's why I said it. John Carney says, Vollmer is around 3 miles south of 183rd Street. I did not know that. But, I mean, Olympia Fields, I know is out. Yeah, I kind of know where that's at. I think I played a basketball. Is it Rich Central that's in Olympia Fields or Rich South? One of those schools. I think I played ball at. So, I'm out there. Jerry says popcorn shrimp or regular. Both. I mean, I love them both, man.
I go regular. I mean,
I didn't generally go regular, but I love them both. Give me the coconut shrimp too, man. Fuck it. Let's go.
All right, Beef. We recently said, hey, it's the mid-year. Everybody's out there giving their grades to the Sox. You know what, Beef? I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. I can't watch those shows. When someone's giving grades to the Sox.
Agreed.
It's like the most arbitrary shit ever.
Push the fucking button to another channel. Exactly.
I skip it.
The thing is, it's weird and arbitrary to begin with, Chorizy. But on a team this bad, it's even worse because it's like, what are you going to give? All fucking F's for all these guys, and 2 guys get a passing grade? Like, it's a very bizarre thing to do.
Everybody gets B's and C's, and it's like, how does this work? This is coming off the worst team ever, and then they're still fucking terrible. They're on pace to win 53, score 549 runs. Like, that's good for our bets, but that ain't good for a baseball team, right? Like, so giving them good grades is just weird. So
it is. I don't. I'm not done.
So we're not grading that. We asked you to grade us because I think that people, especially when anonymous, can be a lot more honest about how they feel about our show. And we obviously have shortcomings. We don't do this. This isn't a profession for us.
Correct.
This is something that we learn every time we do one of these. We learn something new. We're always trying to figure out how to be better. So we want to ask you guys, what can we do to be better? And so we got some feedback. I haven't seen it yet, but I think Beef is gonna walk us through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna lead the way in this. Yeah, I mean we've been doing we're doing the podcast for 7 years. I've been doing as you 2.5 now, or almost 3. But you're right. There's so much stuff we don't know, and we don't get a lot of feedback other than people who watch it in the comments, fucking around with us. But we don't get much critical feedback. That's what we're kind of looking for here. So I'll pull up first. There were a couple people who were willing to just throw their commentary directly on Twitter, which I appreciate. Put your name behind it is even better. You don't have to, but anonymous works. And so our guy John Nava says analysis. He says B for Beef's boobies. That meant man, my tits have been out there. Trees. I got to go on a diet after this vacation.
Those big green tits.
Big green tits. He says banter A. He says hashtag 108 A. The quest was a great idea. I agree because we'll give our grades for this stuff kind of after we read all your comments. He says guess B and then segments A, especially smash or pass. So that was very nice. And then the other guy who put him out there was JT. JT put hashtag mid-year Festivus. Treasy, what would you think about mid-year Festivus?
I don't want to do the bit too much. I do like the idea of it though, because if you've ever heard the guy whose family did Festivus, like the interesting thing about Festivus was that it wasn't any way related to Christmas like it is in Seinfeld. The father would just spring it on the family at any point in the year. And then just give
Holy shit, I did not know that.
Drop a wrath of shit that he's mad about on his family. So yeah, so it was just like, hey, today's Festivus, and here we go, right? Like, so I kind of like the idea of it being more of a surprise, but I think that not enough people would get that. So I think it's got to be still tied to the Seinfeld lore and be around Christmas. And it's also like it's a nice kind of end of the year show for us. So I don't know if I want to do a mid-year. If we did a mid-year, though, here's an idea. If we did a mid-year, it would be in person. So it would only be a live event. We wouldn't record it.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to do it.
Then it would get really wild.
Could be really fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's some shit then.
So yeah,
the other reason why the Festivus works well at the time it is let me let you in on a little secret. I probably shouldn't share this. If you like to get guests around the holidays like that, they're usually working a lot less, especially people that are in media or whatever. And so you can get them to actually come on in those time periods where it's tougher in their, areas where they're more busy. And so for us, it's been easier to get like great headliners at that time of year. Like we were able to get John Schriffen last year, and 2 years ago we had Danny Parkins, etc. So that's just a secret of that. So we wouldn't do that during the summer. Yeah, exactly.
I like this. That half year Festivus would be like the Fishes episode of The Bear.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Just jammed in the middle. I think you've seen it. It's the Feast of the Seven Fishes one where it's like jammed in the middle of the season, and it's just pure insanity. It's like a flashback episode.
Oh,
you ever seen this? Okay,
I don't think so.
It'll get your heart rate up, so you gotta watch it sometime.
One of my favorites. All right, next comment. This one starts the anonymous ones, and this commenter says, "I would have given you an A, but with MSS not knowing shit about baseball, it hurts your score. For the guests, top notch as always, and also for the banter. You guys are funny as hell, so another A." So a little shot at MSS. That's not MSS's part of the thing, right, Chorizy? I mean, like he does with what he has. But I was thinking when that comment came up specifically, it reminded me of, remember I told him about 4 years ago, we're coming out of the pandemic, we're starting to go to games again. And I told him, because he was asking about books to read about baseball, which I don't think he read any of them, but I have no idea.
He's not read any of those.
He's never read any of them. But I gave him a different tip. I said, MSS, you're at all these games. You watch the game. Just every once in a while, when you notice something interesting, jot down a note in your phone and bring it up, and we'll talk about it on the show. It's just like an interesting point. And he's done that exactly 0 times. So I don't think his motivation is there. It's really what the baseball part of it. It's all the rest of it. It's the rest of the things he likes doing.
It feels that way. But he does have so many other things that he's interested in that he's a unicorn that no other baseball podcast has. So like that's the MSS value right there.
Yeah, no, MSS has plenty of value, but it's the baseball part of it is a little tougher. So this next anonymous one says, "Hey guys, us fans want different people for you guys to interview. We're kind of sick of the whole Alex Rude, Missy types. Go on the other side of White Sox Twitter, Sammy Davis." I don't know if it's saying that's from Sammy Davis or
I don't
Sammy Davis.
The punctuation at the end is confusing. But it says also, I'm sure this is a copy pasta of like an old thing that we get every time we do this, of get different guests.
And we have like way more different guests than basically everyone else out there. Although I'm going to be honest with you, Sam Reeves and his crew are piling up quite a bit of different guests as well. They're doing a pretty good job of like spraying all fields and putting a lot of different people from Sox Twitter on there. So we do have someone as a competitor up there with us having a lot of guests. So, but yeah, I mean, anytime someone gives that comment with the guests, I always just think, whatever.
They want to be on. They want to be on.
Exactly. And the thing about, so we had Sammy Davis Jr. on for Fest, but you can only have that type of personality on once in a blue moon. It's just too much for a short period of time. That's for Twitter,
and it's oftentimes it's too specific for like most people to get right. Like so, for like 1,000 people watch the Festivus show, like 12 get that, and it's like it's fun, but like you can't keep going back to that well.
Alex Rude out there says not enough Alex Rude, in my opinion. I agree. I'm having him on July 14th, so we'll come check that episode. All right, next up, next comment was, the 108 is created for the low IQ and drunken loner. This is why the audience will continue to grow. Y'all have that MAGA charisma. Now, the first part of it, I think I would say we're very inclusive with regards to our baseball analysis. I don't know if I'd go low IQ and drunken loner. All right. I probably shouldn't say this, but you might think certain podcasts that are the people on them are very smart, and then other podcasts they're a lot less smarter than them. And let me just tell you, in reality, that is not true. That's not real life. If we want to measure on certain things, that is not real life. So just put that one in your back pocket. With regards to MAGA, what is MAGA charisma, Chorizy? Do you know what that is? What's that mean?
I don't know. I don't feel like it's a charismatic group as much as it is. It's more like I don't know how to even describe it. It's more like a kind of like a movement, right? Like it's just more like it's not like there's like charisma involved. Right, like
no,
if
they have certain things in common that they like, and it's like a movement. I agree.
You're pounding your fist on the podium about shit. That's not quite charisma, right? Like charisma would be more like a Bill Clinton, right? No matter what you think about Bill Clinton, like he's a more charismatic type of dude, right?
He's like, but he's charismatic.
He's lying to you, but you're like, oh, that's all right. Yeah. I think he likes me though. I think he seems so friendly.
Definitely not trying to get one over on me at all.
So I don't get where that's coming from, but I mean, like I think that that you might mistake the drunken loner thing for like our want for people to pick up a single ticket to a game if they feel like they want to go to a game and know what section they could go to and hang out. Right? I don't think that's like a drunken loner. I think that's just like it's fucking Tuesday. All my friends are working full time. I work an industry job and I want to go see a baseball game. Where do I sit? Easy answer for you. Right. Easy answer for you. So yeah. And I think like having fun somehow insinuates low IQ and shit. So like, I don't know. If you feel that way about it, I mean, I guess I'm wondering why you watch it. But
yeah, they enjoy low IQ. They can enjoy it, or what they consider low IQ, low brow or whatever. It's
maybe it is low brow.
Sometimes our humor is low brow. Sometimes our humor is low brow on purpose. I don't know that it's necessarily low IQ, but you know what? Fuck IQ anyway. But regardless, go ahead.
But I do thank Jim Margulis for putting in that comment.
Yeah, right. You don't watch. We don't watch. All right, next up. This commenter says, banter as always is A+. People give you crap for being dumb. We were just giving ourselves crap for it, kind of. But I really enjoy your White Sox talk and insights. It's pretty intelligent, besides MSS. I really like the new local. I really like the new segment, Local Look, as well as the dumbest thing you've seen online this week. I also like the segments like Last and First Call, when the speaker turns it into questions for the other two, like the Pippen versus Jordan question. So this person definitely watches a lot. So they have ingested a ton of stuff, and it's kind of a nice comment there, isn't it, Chorizy? What do you think?
It is nice, and I think the thing that I like the most is that they said they like the dumbest thing you've seen online all week, because that was my segment that came up. But
Local Look is too. I was like, wow, it's a big Chorizy fan. I got two of your segments right out of the gate.
But I do like the thought on the Last and First Call, because those are ones that like I worry about sometimes when we do, because we like to interject them a lot of times when there's not a lot to talk about with the Sox, and we want to just do something that's kind of more random. But like it's a lot of times it's like an extension of banter, and so like doing like an all banter show worries me, especially when we do First Call, because it feels like it's all kind of banter.
Yeah, it's broken up by one commercial, and it's all the same shit basically.
So that worries me. So like I'm glad to hear some feedback of like, oh, okay, well, I like it. I like it when you do those things. So I still prefer Last Call to First Call, but like, sometimes if the Sox are just doing nothing and it's just we're in the tank, it's First Call is necessary.
Well, they do mention too, they like a version of it that they like is like when we play a game like that. So banter isn't usually a game. Banter is usually just a topic of some sort.
Right.
But like as an example, you did with the do I look like these guys kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I did with the Pippen versus Jordan is more of a game style thing. Now we don't always do last call or first call like that. You're right. A lot of times it's just spilling
but
banter
maybe,
for an hour plus,
But maybe we should, and maybe that's
maybe
a good idea there from that comment. So I like that's good feedback. I really appreciate it. That's something that's good to hear.
Yeah, agreed. That was a good one. All right, next up it says best thing you guys did was make the weekly episodes an hour and a half. 3 hours every week was brutal. I do enjoy the special episodes being that long. Besides that, keep up the great work. So that is a good and interesting point there. We had gotten feedback a while back to kind of shorten up the show and maybe, I mean, Chris Lanuti told us a long time ago, he didn't tell us to do 30 minutes like he does, but he was like, you guys, he effectively told us, you guys have a lot of ideas and a lot of good content. You're wasting too much of it because you do that long of a show. People might not listen to the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. You can kind of truncate and shorten it up. Now, I think 90 minutes is a sweet spot for us, but there are a lot of people when MSS and I did that show that was 3 fucking hours, they were thrilled that it was like an old school show. And so
I think every once in a while
bounce back on that.
Every once in a while it's okay, I think. But like, I mean, honestly, for us too, and me in particular, like this we usually do this on Thursday. We're doing Wednesday this week, but like, on a normal Friday, I start work at like 7. So like doing a 3-hour show, like, and being on here to like, because after the show I got to put up the podcast and everything. We usually have a meeting afterwards. Like right. I'm going to sleep at like midnight, waking up 5 hours later, and like drinking for all of that time, right? Like so, like not the time while I'm asleep. I don't have a sleep drink, right, drink exactly. Bong or something, but the whole show. So yeah, it's better for me, honestly. But I think also it opened up the opportunity for Beef to have the au jus, to expound on different ideas that he wanted to do instead of trying to jam that into just one show. And I think it works a lot better that way. So I agree. I agree on the drop in time, but yeah, the Festivus, or, like if we have some opportunity to do something interesting during the year, like the 5th anniversary show, like those are going to be long. Those are going to be long shows. But I also realized too, like, and what Lanuti was alluding to, and some of it was like, there's so many things out there for people to listen to. Like that, most people aren't listening to Just Sox podcasts, and there's already 30 of those, right? Like, and exactly. Then if you're competing like with somebody, like we talked about Rogan earlier. If we're competing with someone that listens to Joe Rogan, that's 3 hours out of the 168 that they have all week to do anything.
Yep.
Right. Like, so, and we're asking for another 3. That's a big ask to ask somebody. And I know, like, if you're listening to it not live, you're definitely going at 1.5 speed. I do that to everybody. Don't worry. Like I have a lot of pauses. I know you're nicking those and going right through. So I know you're only spending about 2 hours if we did the 3-hour podcast, but nevertheless, it's still a lot of your time.
Absolutely. No, Mrs. Beef, I missed this comment earlier. She said, the last comment was from Barstool Chief, Chorizy over MSS. I think it was the one about the banter where it says pretty intelligent besides for MSS. And then also picked off the segments that you are your brainchild.
The only reason I would say that's not Chief is like I've had plenty of conversations online with Chief. I've never seen him use an emoji.
He's outgrown that. Alex Root says the super long episode a few weeks ago was really good. Well, thank you, Alex. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I like that. And Jerry Sullivan's, I'm with you sometimes, Jerry Sullivan. Two speed. Depends. I had to listen to a podcast the other day. I was telling Chorizy, I'm like, I couldn't get it at my normal spots, and I had to listen to it one time. I was like, fuck.
I will give you a tip though. If you listen to the Sox Machine podcast, I totally recommend turning it on at 2 times speed just to start, because their intro at 2 times speed is a banger. Like it's excellent at 2 times speed.
Love it. All right, next up, this commenter says, good inaugural season of the 108 Bachelorette. And then it says, I think Wasabi would be good for season 2. I think you can build a little bit off the pilot run. So I would also echo the thought that it was a good inaugural season of the 108 Bachelorette. I think you agree with me on that, Chorizy. My one note, and my single note, because I thought MSS did a great job top to bottom on the thing is, I just think it needs to be more episodes. I think it needs to be 4 or 5 episodes, and we need to hang on with the cast a little longer so that people can start forming, connections to the characters and allegiances behind certain characters that they want to win. And we didn't really get a lot of that. Now, it was terrific content all in, but I think that piece of it, if I was giving MSS one note for next year, like you're going to devote more time to this. This is going to be longer if you want to do this again. And I think it get better. So
John Carney says the 108 Bachelor. Let's say that's a lot to ask of the ladies to put together videos to do. So like, I think the guys got to step it up and put videos out. Okay, yeah. Let's have that. A couple things here. So I agree. Good idea. I have something I want to talk about with that I was going to do in our banter, but like I saved it because I was like, you know what? I'm sure there'll be a point in this feedback that I'll get to use this. But the Wasabi thing, I like Wasabi. She's really funny. We love hanging out with her at the park. I think she may be interested in doing something like that, but I worry because like last year she jumped out of the tournament like last second.
Yeah.
And hey, all good. You don't need to be in the tournament if you don't want to be in the tournament.
Right, of course, yes.
But like if you don't want to be in a 108 tournament, I can't imagine that you want to be in the Bachelorette. So I don't think I would try and put that on that kind of pressure on her to do a show like that. But like I said, MySoxSummer came up with a great idea. And like recently, Beef, he's been running hot with ideas.
He has, yes.
And it coincides with him starting to do shrooms. Right. And so I think that you and I have maybe been selfish or like maybe not selfish, myopic, maybe.
Yeah.
In putting together the drinking quest. Because we're more the drinkers now.
We are, yeah. That's correct.
I think we need to put together a drug quest for MySoxSummer. Hunter S. Thompson, Timothy Leary inspired drug quest. We'll keep it low. We won't
during the
50.
podcast, though. Not during the podcast, because he'll zone out and we get nothing from him. Or maybe that's what we want. Actually, that could be okay. Maybe the audience would love that.
We got to test the waters. And I don't think it's going to be 50 drugs. I don't know if I even know 50 drugs.
We'll talk to Gordo and see what he used to recommend.
I used to work road crew. I don't know 50 drugs. But we got a good 10, let's get him on mescaline for an episode.
I like this idea, but he was already a coward with the idea White Sox Dave had for them to get 100 meg and put the GoPros on and go around the stadium. Like, how good would that shit be? And he would be on Barstool's channel doing this, I assume. I assume Dave was that done that.
That was excellent this weekend because Dave was sitting with us on Saturday, and Beef, we talked about this. I'm fucking the whippets would be amazing.
I was gonna say the comments are blowing up right now. My snort summer and Mr. Beef said I'm here for this idea.
The mystery bag.
Dr. Bobby writes scripts for him.
And we were like, I was telling you, I was like, I'm kind of mad at the Sox for being so bad because they've deprived us of Dave coming and hanging out at the park because he's always so fun to sit with because he'll get a million stories. Yeah. He's always got interesting takes on the team. We were arguing about Lurie, me and him on Saturday, and then, but he's there and he's like, MSS, we got to do that game where we do 100 megs, and MSS is like, I don't know, that's a lot of stuff. And like the next inning, he's like, he's telling his girlfriend, me and MySoxSummer, he used this given name, but he's like, me and MySoxSummer, we're gonna do 200 megs and go to a game. By like the 7th inning, he was like, hey, text me about the 500 meg game.
It's really giving it to us. Great.
So we'll see if that happens. I'm interested to see. I mean, honestly, like those two on like 20 megs would be a wild ride.
Would be excellent. Yeah, it would be terrific content. It has to happen. I don't know why MSS is being such a coward about it, man. He loves working with the Barstool crew, man. We just went and did the stretch not too long ago. He loves going to the studio doing everything.
I'm over here drinking full bottles of Mums. He can't do a couple extra megs than he normally does.
Embarrassing guy. Not a team player. That's what they're saying.
He's not. You know what? Now I go back to those other comments that said he was an idiot. I'm in on those.
You're back. All right. Next up, this comment says, The au jus is a good ad. The counter says, you laugh at responses too many times. I know that's a very bad fault of mine. Also, having 108 fans as guests is boring. They're not engaging. Keep up the good work of having quality guests. So, Chorizy, what do you think about that response?
The laugh thing is true. And I think it's like a nervous tick of yours. And it happens more in this is I'm your brother, so I notice everything that you do. And like I don't think people notice a lot of the stuff you do. I think you probably notice a lot of the stuff that I do that's real weird. Like you like inside baseball, like there is a like on my microphone, there's like a tiny little monkey on my microphone, like a little doll, like that I like just like play with during the show because I have to be doing something with my hands all the time. And like you see it in the Sunday soak, and you guys could go back and watch this, and it's just embarrassing for me. But I mess with the valve in the front of the Sunday in the front of the hot tub a lot, to the point where like I have to like move my hands around and hold them in different places to not do it. Right. Like, so Beef notices those types of things about me, and I notice things about him when he's doing it. And the laughing is one of them. And the laughing typically happens when it's a guest that like you really, really respect. And like, I think it's a nervousness thing. It's like a nervous laugh that happens after it. But yeah, so like, I think that it's fine because like, I think people know that as part of your overall character. But, you know, if you want to, you know, do something about it, I can come to your house while you're doing the interview and I slap you in the face every time you laugh. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it for you.
I think I can hold off. I think I try to create a jovial atmosphere out of my nervousness there, and I can nip it. But I've asked you guys about that in the past. Like, should I pull it back? And you're like, on this podcast, fucking laugh away, fucking have a great time, be the laugh track of the show. But I agree, in a one-on-one setting, that is something that I need to do a better job of. So, but I you know what? I apologize. I'm going to keep having, you know, White Sox Twitter guests on that I think are interesting. I mean, I know sometimes I shoot into the media realms, but I'm gonna keep with some of those White Sox Twitter guests if I think they are good. All right, next up. This is my favorite one in here. It says, I don't listen. We're off to a hot start. You guys are cool, but I'm invested in way too much other stuff to dedicate additional time to a YouTube thing about the Sox. Kids, life, Slayer, priorities. So I'll give you a C+. First off, Chorizy, let me ask you the question. Are we doing this person a favor, pushing them more towards their life and away from our podcast?
I think so, especially because they included Slayer. So the time is well spent. I guess time with your kids is okay too. But like,
sorry.
But you know what? Here's what I like about this comment is that this person who obviously doesn't have a lot of time. They have kids, they listen to Slayer.
Yep.
They do have good priorities going on.
Yep.
But they took the time to even write something to us.
Agreed.
About it, to just let them know, like, hey, you know, it's not all the podcast. Like, you got to keep doing all the other stuff, because the bite-sized pieces, some people just, that's all they want, right? That's all they're going to ingest. That's all they want to enjoy from it. And maybe they stop at the park sometime with their kids and say hello, and then they go about their day with their kids at the park.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I don't want the end all be all of our fandom, or like the people that follow us, or people that even know who we are, care that we exist. I don't want that to all be podcast listeners.
Just the YouTube feed.
I want it to be kind of everything. I want it to be like any way that you like to ingest us, or like to be around us, or like to say hello to us, or like to flick us off at the park. It's all good. I love it all.
Great point, Chorizy. All right, last comment that we received. It says, the banter comes off as contrived and fake, sort of like you guys. We get that you keep doing it because people give you money, but maybe it's time to hang it up. Go touch grass. You guys seem miserable when you aren't being fake. Chorizy, what do you think about this one?
Well, I'm confused here. I'm confused because if we come off as contrived as fake and banter, and that is like how we are, when aren't we being fake? and being miserable.
Right.
I'm going to say this person doesn't like us.
It certainly looks that way.
But I will say it's surprising. Like, if you were to say to me, I feel like you're regurgitating facts during the baseball thing and it seems fake and contrived, or you guys still talking about X, Y, or Z with the Sox feels fake and contrived, I would get that. But the banter being fake and contrived is interesting because we actually talk like this to each other. Right? This is my brother and our best friend. So like this is normal conversation for us. We might be idiots. Like, but fake, I don't feel like fake, but I will say to this this person's point, the contrived thing, we have had talks after podcasts where we go, you know what? You didn't have anything for banter. You should have just not said anything.
Just shut the fuck up.
Just let it go. You don't have to do a banter every time, right? If you don't have something, just don't do it. Right. And so I get that part of it. Us being miserable is I don't know where that comes from.
That's bizarre,
maybe
because
miserable about the Sox.
But even then,
I do bat down a lot of
the comment I get
excited.
most about us, and I put our stuff sometimes in some of the message boards and whatever. The comment I get back most about us is that we are surprisingly positive for diehard White Sox fans. And so to me, that would not lead to miserableness.
Well, we've been drinking. So I like that's the
well, I mean, it is what it is, but still.
But hey, this is all feedback. Like I like to know that someone
it's not Sal. Sal would have came up with something better. Sal would have been way better than that, Alex. It would have been way better.
Hold on a second. Let's be clear. Sal would not go anonymous. Sal would put that right in our fucking DMs. Right in our DMs. And exactly. I have a story for Sal. I hope Sal's listening because and Beef, you'll love this. And I don't want to say this in front of MySoxSummer because I don't want to hurt his feelings and he won't listen to this. So
it's never gonna hear this.
So we're at the Lawrence's thing for the 108 Bachelorette, and Beef is sitting there and he turns to me and he goes, you know, this is like the opposite of the 108 tournament for me. He's like, because instead of me doing kind of all the work, he's like, MSS is doing all of the work. And, you know, I'm just sitting here hanging out and enjoying it, you know? And I told Beef, I said, this is actually exactly like the 108 tournament because I have nothing to do with this. I'm uninterested and I'm a little annoyed I have to be here.
Yes. He was not in earshot when you were telling us that.
Nor was it was when he was filming Chorizy because I knew Chorizy would have been like, "That's so fucking mean."
You shouldn't say that shit.
No, I'll just say this to Beef, and then eventually say it to everybody who listens to our show.
Yeah, exactly. Amber, good to see you. She says, "Damn, 108, come for the baseball beer and bullshit. Stay for the psychological evaluation." All the time. We're doing it all the time. All right,
Amber, I would say no shots at the Dakotas in all of the feedback that we got. So yeah. I mean, you steered clear in this one.
You're safe. So now we are going to give grades to our show. You want me to go first, Chorizy, or you want to go by category and we'll switch off? How do you want to do it?
Category. Let's go by category.
Okay, so we'll start off with White Sox analysis. I'll let you go first.
So White Sox analysis, I will give us like a B minus. I think that we've been, and I'll put it on myself as one of them, is that like time constraints of kind of turning some of this stuff around and doing notes for the show. I think that sometimes I don't get to go in deep enough. What I like to do, the way that I like to analyze the team is to go in really deep on something, find something that's interesting, and then bring it out in a way that's very easily explained. Like that's what my goal is every time. And I don't feel like I've been on that as much. Beef, you've had some really good like thoughts that were like not what everybody was saying, where you're making a case on another side. I still think one of the things, I think you said this on the show, maybe you didn't. But the idea of them trading Grant Taylor is one that like I've continued to wrap my mind around. And like, if they really think he's an injury risk, like this offseason, I could see that happening. And we've told that to some people that I really respect their baseball minds, and they're like, "Oh man, I don't like that," but I could see it,
Right? Yeah.
And so those are the types of things that I like. And I think with MSS, I think that's his weak spot, right? Like, so I don't know that we ever get to an A unless he starts doing some of the things that you talked about with like his more avant-garde thoughts on things that he's seeing during the game. Like when he noticed like weird ticks of the players,
Right?
Like he always sees shit like that. Like if he brought that to the show, I think we and I start getting time to do the analysis I want to
dig in a little bit.
Like I think we get to an A, but I think we're still a bit away from that. And I think I'd go B- because I think there's a lot of work that we can do.
I love it. So I went B. So I went just solid B. In that I think our analysis is good, but I don't think we've gotten enough mileage out of some of our like funnier bits and White Sox analysis that we kind of tend to do. I think we're hitting well on digging in on the guys and giving like a thorough look at things. And like you mentioned, stuff that you're not going to hear kind of anywhere else. And we're pulling out of there. I think that when it comes to like getting a national viewpoint, man, we had passing on here. I think the episode we had with John Greenberg, where we covered the really Ishbia and the ownership stuff, was the best version of that anywhere on any outlet at all, because we have experience, in kind of in the business world. And so it was a little better conversation. We were able to explain some stuff to people. And I'll dovetail that with the one I did with Rob Hart on the Au Jus, where we talked about some more speculative stuff in that vein. And I got a lot of great feedback and from some people in the know saying, wow, you guys touched on some stuff there that's not being mentioned. But I think that, to the level we haven't, like, the horny meter hasn't been that great this year.
We haven't been that horny.
With some of our sweet spots, we just haven't hit that well. And so I got to. We have
not done baseball player or porn star, and I'm wondering if we might bring that back soon. So that's one that we've missed out on. That's
a good idea. Okay, next up is banter. Do you want me to start or you want to start?
Yeah, go ahead, start.
Okay. I'm going to give our banter this year a rough grade. I'm going to give it a D. And here's why. All right. A lot of episodes, Chorizy, you don't even have banter. Lately you've been coming with it more, but there was a lot of episodes through kind of the heart of the first half of the year where you wouldn't have banter at all. MSS had some real bangers in banter, but he also had where he'd fall back on his signature stories that would just be going really long in the comments and be like, where the fuck is this going? Land a plane, all that shit. And you and I would be like, we don't even know where to get in on this thing. And so that we have some rough ones like that. And for my banter, they're just haven't been hitting as hard as they had in the past. And so sometimes when we get a really good topic or a good idea, I think it maybe for me, it's a little more, I got to focus more and like just pay attention to stuff and grab things. And like today I grabbed like 6 things. I think maybe I got to do that more often. And then as the day goes on, let it hit me which one works best. But I think of all this, the parts of our show, I think that the banter to me has been lagging. I think we got back on track, but I think it's not been as good as it has been in the past.
Yeah, I was going to go C on this because we seem fake and contrived when we do. No, but I would give a C because again, mine have been lacking, and one of the things with that is that I just forget about shit. Like, so like, it's part of getting old. Right. And like, I feel like at work, I have a notebook, right? Like where I'm writing shit down all day because like I get paid to do that. And so like, I need to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I need to
just a lot less.
I need to include,
Sam Reeves is right. He said Chorizy wrote all the anonymous grades.
I need to include writing in that notebook, like, hey, this crazy shit happened today. So I get a little more Larry David to myself.
There you
go.
Like,
yes. So that like years later, I can say, masturbation contest. Yeah, that was 1983. Like, so I need to get that up to speed. MSS, yes, some of the stories are really long. I think MSS is a terrific father, but I don't think everybody needs to hear like a 10-minute story about T-ball. And for you, Beef, I feel like you've been holding back a little bit on some of your more controversial topics that you like to bring to us. I mean, today's like we talked about Joe Rogan at length today.
So that's the one I've been wanting to do. I just hadn't had a spot to do it in, and I knew we needed time to do that one. The other thing that hurts banter sometimes, Chorizy, is we got a guest coming in hot, and they come in at the 15 minutes instead of the 20 minutes.
Yeah,
one person gets to do banter, and it might not be a good one. It might suck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So So that's a good point. I'll lead with myself when there's a guest coming on.
Get the good shit in there first. Block out me and my.
Let me get for my spiral notepad here.
John Carney says Mike Murphy's yellow pad. That's what you got.
You gotta get your yellow pad out.
This isn't that funny, but like it's just a note in my life that I have a collection of little notebooks from different vendors that I have almost immediately after getting the little notebook have ceased the end of the void of the contract. So like it's like a death wish for a vendor to send me a notebook, but I have this whole stack of them. So like that, I have notebooks galore.
I love it. All right, hashtag 108ing. Chorizy, go first.
I think that I do think that the quest, which was your idea.
No, that was
my idea.
I said that.
You said it was getting stale, and so then
it was your idea. It was I said that it had been getting stale.
So now
I said it fucking sucks. We need to do something about it, and you brought up a great idea with the quest.
Even more so now, I like this part of it. I think that's been really good, and I think that some of them being difficult has been entertaining because I feel like there's been some interest from people like that are DMing us, right? Or like our guy Bill is like, hey man, like I don't think you're gonna find this shit, you know? Exactly. And so like a lot of that stuff has been good. I will say though, and this is a recent episode for me, like I got too hammered the day I was drinking the whiskey. Like
the whiskey,
and so yeah, and like that's part of the problem. And I think me and MSS are more prone to this because we do like bourbon, and some of the best bourbons are like these high proof mothers, right? And so like I've got to get better at like going like if I'm gonna do that, maybe I'll do like some kind of mixed drink or something so that I don't get off. And then the other thing with that is one thing I didn't think about when we were doing this quest is that some of these drinks that we're gonna have, because we're not used to them, dry out your mouth a ton. And you're trying to talk for like hours. And that's why today I've got the water with me because I'm like the Red Moscato, like after the show, like you guys saw me, I was like chugging bottles of water because I was like, I can't speak anymore. Like my mouth is puckered up into this like unusable piece of flesh.
I also will give hashtag 108ing an A. The quest has put us back on point to where we're having fun with the drinking part of it, Chorizy. It's back to being its own part of the show and not just a, hey, matter of factly, what are we doing? And just because we have to do it, right? We used to, in the old days, I mean, I had that goddamn fishbowl out here. We would be drinking all kinds of crazy shit, you know, like, and we lost that. And the quest, I think, is bringing that back in a way. Like I was looking at
see what the drug quest does.
I was looking at my wine cellar because I keep bottles of booze and stuff in there. And I was like, man, I should make a Cosmopolitan coming up. But we're going to be out of quest stuff, but I should like have a nice pink drink here. You know what? I was like, go old school and do some of these things. But planning for some of that stuff, it adds elements to the show because people will show up and they say, what the fuck is going on with this thing? And it's just like these little things, these little things that add a little element to the show that you want to add extra. And so I'm glad you did that with the quest. Much applause to you. So, all right, next is guests. I'll start. I think that the quality of guests that we've had have been an A. We've had terrific guests this year. We mentioned Greenberg and Jeff Pass, and we had Barstool Carl. I think Barstool Carl might be the best baseball mind talker in Chicago at this point. I think he's way the fuck up there. I mean, like really, the conversation with him was
really like I could sit at a bar and talk with him for like 5 hours.
Yeah, baseball. It was really goddamn good. I mean, like, and even some of the audio guests I've had, Joe Sheehan or whatever. We've had a lot of terrific guests. If you go back to Festivus, we had so I think the quality of guests is an A. I think the frequency of guests on this show though is a D. And so I would give our overall grade a B because we've been struggling, and this is on me more than you guys. I like to do the Lawrence's Hot Sauce seat, and I've been struggling all year to find people to pop in here for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, put them on the hot seat, and kind of fuck with them and do something or whatever and move that guest along. We should be doing more of that. I like that concept, and I haven't getting it done. So, I mean, that's where I would put our guest work at. How about you?
Yeah, I have it as a A minus, and A minus is just because we've missed a couple guests that we wanted to have on, and I think that's kind of the only miss for me. I don't think the frequency is as much of a problem as you do. I think that like a lot of times this show just needs to be us, but I think that I think the passing is just fucking awesome. I think that the Greenberg episode was really great, and I think we found maybe one of my favorite guests is Pat Berletti.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I mean, we talked about him at length already, but
it's terrific.
He's just the guy that's just like he accidentally will tell you a great story, right? Like, and so I feel like there's just we're able to talk with people in a way that I don't think they get asked questions on most of the shows that they're normally on when it's like one of these larger guests. And then I think we talk to people that for some reason other people aren't having on, which is weird to me.
Right. Especially when we really like them. We're like, oh,
yeah. So
no one else is letting you in.
Okay, well, we'll just keep having you on. That's fine with us. We can have you on more because no one else is talking to you. But yeah, so there's things like that. And I think we've done a really good job on this. I don't like having guests on as much as you and MSS do.
Yeah.
I think that's why the frequency piece doesn't hit me as hard.
Okay, got it. No, that makes sense.
And it's different. I mean, honestly, for me, and I think you guys did a great job with Sam Anderson, but I think for me, when we have a guest on, there's just a lot of prep, right? Because like I want to make sure that this person feels very comfortable and understands that we know what they're about and what we, what they like to do, what they want to talk about, those types of things. So,
and for Sam Anderson, that was a huge amount of prep because MSS and I both ingested his book. So, like, in order to do it, it was a lot. You're right about that. So it does. It is. I agree with you. We are not a show where we're just going to throw someone on here that we're not really prepared to talk to. We are generally so prepared that we have questions we never get to on these things. We always have a bunch. So, all right, last one, Chorizy, and then you're going to be doing a little ad read. I can't wait for him. I'm looking forward to that.
We'll see if I can still speak.
Segments. You go first on segments.
I'm going to give it a B. I think we've leaned back on last and this is something I was talking about earlier. I think we've leaned back on last and first call a little too much. I think that this or that is a tremendous segment. Yeah. I wish MSS sold more shit on eBay so we could do it more frequently. But so that's a great segment. I think the local look, we haven't done enough.
Yep.
And I think the stupidest shit on the internet, we've done just enough. I think that's you've really got to pile up a bunch of dumb shit. And half the dumb shit on the internet now is like very political stuff. And we don't want to do that.
We don't, that's not really our thing. Yeah.
Not our bit. I mean, I think that me and Beef are two guys that are just kind of like, every politician is full of shit and fuck all of them. So we don't really have
our tact in life is a bunch of bullshit's going to happen. How do we figure out our way around it so we do well for ourselves?
For us, right? Exactly. It's a selfish view. I don't think you want to hear our selfish ass view. So like that makes that a little bit more difficult. But the overall, I think it's been good. I like it, and I think that MSS shines in a lot of these segments. Yep. And so like us being able to build them around him as much as possible is good. And I think the more we do last and first call, the less we're really taking advantage of how good he is at some of these like really niche things, right? Like the like some of the fucking shit or some of the stories that he comes up with from these, different things that he's looking at. Like I would never in a million years think about these things. And like I love when something is like totally out of left field and I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome.
Right. So he brings it here and surprises us with he's
tremendous at
we're into. Yeah,
he's so good at that. And he does that in real life all the time. So like he'll bring me shit from the thrift store and I'll be like, what is this? Like he's like, I thought you'd love it. Like, what?
Usually you do not.
I don't. I'm not a big fan. Did anyone watch this? Am I gonna get a rash? But yeah, I think we have not done a good enough job of giving him a lot of runway in these things. So that's why we're not A.
Yeah, I agree with you. I went B as well. And mostly I went B, and I agree with all of your points there, basically, Chorizy, about the amount of times we're using them, and and the way we're using them. But the guiding light for me is that smash or pass has been excellent basically every time we've done it. And it makes some sense to me because what it allows the three of us to do is just meander creatively around mundane topics. It throws something in our craw that we're going to opine on, and it's just up to us to be really creative and think through it and throw something. And as we're hearing the other guys say something, we think about how to come over the top or have some fun with it or whatever direction. And I think it suits us very well. I hope we don't overuse it. It's been really good, and I like we need to be cautious not to overuse it. And like MSS with the goddamn ice cream sandwiches was the best shit.
People texting us, like friends of ours that I didn't even know listen to the show, texting us and being like, that fucking wrestling sandwich. Oh my God.
Exactly. That's what I love with it. So yeah, no, that's what I think we're at with that. So that's it. Man, we went a while on that. I apologize for how long we went on that, but Chorizy, it's time for you to.
The Sox are winning. So
Sox are 1-0. Yeah.
So we're in a good spot.
I think it's time for you to sell some Mazdas.
I think it is. Look, we talk a lot on this show, and you've probably thought to yourself that Chorizy-E is one smart motherfucker, and you'd be correct to think that. So let me talk about one of the smartest decisions I've ever made. That decision was to let Eric and his great staff at Mazda of Orland Park get me into a Mazda CX-30. I test drove a few cars. Some of them weren't big enough for my voluptuous backside, but this one was damn near perfect for me. What's perfect for you? Well, that's one thing Chorizy-E does not know. But our friends at Mazda of Orland Park can sure as hell help you with that. So head on down to 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park, or visit them at zoomzoomnation.com and find the car that will vastly improve your daily drive. Wear your 108 gear and tell them that you are a Sox fan, so you get the Sox fan discount. Once again, that's Mazda of Orland Park, 8910 West 159th Street. Zoom, motherfuckers.
Beautiful.
You know what? I don't think it's quite as tough as MSS makes it out to be.
I told him, he's coming at us on Twitter. I said, I read ads every fucking week for Punkies, and they're a lot longer and more complicated than you playing an IAI song. So I feel comfortable doing this. So I'm glad you feel that way too, Teresa.
Jerry O'Sullivan's down with this. And Jerry O'Sullivan, I'm just going to say, another smart motherfucker. So two smart motherfuckers telling you what to do here.
Absolutely.
All right. Beef. I think you know what time it is, right?
You want me to lead, or you want to lead, baby?
You know what? I'll run a little bit of this. Run a little bit of this, but it's time for some White Sox talk.
Beautiful.
All right. The internet has run rampant with trade rumors about everybody on goddamn planet Earth. And I think one of the things that we want to do here is kind of level set on Adrian Houser's trade value, because he's played like 3 games. So Beef, let me know where you're at in terms of an Adrian Houser and his trade value.
Yeah, so I mean, Adrian Houser with the White Sox has been excellent. He's made 7 starts. It's 42 2/3 innings. It's a 1.90 ERA. 3 wins already on a terrible White Sox team. He's really filled the void that the White Sox have needed as they've been searching for innings, searching for an additional starter, especially after Martin Perez went down, who was supposed to be the veteran presence here. One thought I had as far as trade value that's just general, and I'll flip it back to you, Chorizy, to kind of get deeper into the weeds here, is when teams are looking to buy starting pitchers at the trade deadline, they're bifurcated into 2 groups. Group number 1 are those starters that can start game 1 or game 2 in a playoff series. These guys generally have substantial strikeout rates. I'm talking like 10K per 9 or 25% K rate or higher, that sort of thing. They limit the walks a little bit. They don't give up as much hard contact. These are the types of guys that, are more towards the front of a rotation, or even if they're not, have the ability to go in and throw 5 innings and strike out 9 or 10 guys. These are kind of those, big swinging dicks, if you will. And then the other group is everyone else. And those are the group of pitchers that you're buying, not so much for the playoffs, but to get you from August 1 through to the playoffs, get you the team to last all the way there. And those guys are the guys that are more your back end starters. Those are the guys that don't have the high strikeout rates. They're going to live on the ground balls. They're going to do these other things to pile up the innings. And Adrian Houser is one of the latter group, in my opinion. He's not a guy who any playoff team is going to give a start to, barring some major issue in game 1 or 2. And so that's the initial place I would start to level set this at.
Yeah, because I think the thing that we can trip ourselves up with, and you make a great point about like the K per 9 and where that kind of puts you in terms of the where in the rotation you're going to end up, is I think it's easy to fall in the trap of looking at Jack Flaherty last year and going, ooh, that's what we can get, because the ERAs are similar. There's a similar like jump back from, he was once pretty good. It became mediocre. It's back to like really good. This seems like what we can do. And the pedigree is not that far off. Like Flaherty is like a 34th pick in the first round. And then Houser is at top of the second round, but that's like the 69th pick or something, So it's not that big of a variance in pedigree, but the K per 9 is a big difference, right? Like I think Flaherty last year was at like 11-ish K per 9 when he was traded.
Yep.
And the Dodgers are looking at that as, man, this is a guy that's going to make some playoff starts, right? And that makes it difficult to put Houser into that range. And so the guys that I was kind of looking at, when you kind of look like guys like Martin Perez and Aaron Savale and Frankie Montas, they're maybe more of the floor of what Houser could get. I think Fetty might be even a little bit above him in a comp, because like you're kind of looking at Fetty going like, oh, he figured it out, and this is incredible. You might be feeling that way about Houser a little bit, but I think the guy that I was looking at that I kind of feel like maybe this is where we're at is Paul Blackburn last year. So Paul Blackburn had a very limited amount of starts because of injury. His ERA was higher. He was like a 4 ERA, but he's also not a big K guy, So it's a good comparison in that way. And he got the Mets gave up, I think, Cade Morris. Cade Morris goes to the A's.
Like a 40 fair value prospect.
And goes into this year as like their 13th prospect, right? Like, so like, I think like, I don't want to sell Houser like he's not going to get you anything. I think we were talking to Dave in the stands, and he was like, I'd rather just get the innings out of this guy so that the young guys don't have to do this. I think he's more valuable than that. I think I put Savale in that. As
the innings eater guy. So it's not ridiculous.
But I think, I don't think that like Houser's going to get you anything insane. But Houser, if I'm the GM, I'm maybe looking like a more volume based trade. Like, let's get a bunch of guys that are maybe like 35 FV,
right,
and 35 plus, and see if someone pops. Maybe you get a guy that's like close to the majors that's going to be a reliever, right? Like that's the kind of thing you're looking at. I think more so than like the Flaherty last year brought back Tyrone Liranzo, right? And that guy's like number 5 in their org now, right? Like,
yeah, he's a real prospect. Yeah, for sure.
You're not going to get that. I don't think you're going to get that, especially the way that this market is kind of forming now. Like, a lot of teams are probably going to need like that 4th, 5th starter as they try and make their playoff runs.
Yeah.
But then guys like Luis Severino are going to be out there. Like, he's demanding a trade.
Yeah,
Oakland never really wanted him.
Exactly.
Oakland, wherever fucking city they're in now.
Sacramento or what?
Sacra Vegas Athletics, whatever they are. They never really wanted them. They were just paying him to get the players union off their back.
Right.
So like, they're obviously going to trade him. And so like, that guy going out into the market hurts the market for the rest of the guys. So like, because teams are going to be going after them. So I think that there might be more guys available than we think. The Rangers might just give up. Like there's too many things. There's too many teams that are falling apart that we thought were going to be okay.
Right.
That there's going to be a lot of stuff available, it feels like. And so I'm worried about the actual value of Hauser. And I think my personal opinion is that the Blackburn comparison to me is the best in terms of return and in terms of who the pitcher kind of is.
No, I love that. Chorizy, now Alex Rude is stealing my comments, and he's putting them in the comments here because he says, don't think they can get a Fetty level return because they don't have a Kopech level player to throw in with him. And I was going to ask you, do you think the White Sox grab something from that playbook and put Steven Wilson or Brandon Eisert with Hauser in order to juice up the return? And that's how they were able to get a little more volume in that Fetty return last year. You think they're going to take that approach with this trade potentially?
They could, but that's is there anyone that sexy in the bullpen, right? Because
there's no Kopech level of sexy. No, there's
Steven Wilson has been good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's kind of a weak contact pitcher, right? And like we've seen that go bad, right? And like a lot of times if you're like, hey, I'm trading some of my prospects, I want the fireballer guy. Right. I want the 98 mile per hour guy that blows someone away because I need a goddamn strikeout. Right. Yeah. Like, so I don't know that.
Well, Jordan Leisure, if he was good.
Right. Oh man.
Like I'm not trying to go there, but
I saw someone today trying to defend the Nastrini trade and be like, Jordan Leisure is still in the league. It's like barely.
He has a good outing once every 4 outings.
He's in the league ruining my life. That's I don't know. I don't know that I count him as a win from that trade.
Now, Chorizy, let me ask you this question, and we can close out with the Hauser's trade value because I like the comp there because I think we're at a level where, yeah, it's bulk starter. It's a guy who was free 6 weeks ago. See, that's the other thing you got to take into account here. A thing that people didn't take into account with Fetty. And I had Recovering Prof on the show to talk about the trade. And one of the tenets is if the guy was basically free or didn't cost hardly anything, a few months ago, it's hard for teams to not want to pay a lot for that thing. They want to pay something close to that. Yeah, there could be improvements to the asset, but not a lot of them. And so they're not going to pay a lot there. But my question for you here with this one is, I thought that the White Sox trade of Tanner Banks, my guy Tanner Blanks, which hurt my heart. I really like Tanner Banks, and he was a good pitcher for us. For William Bergoya was an excellent trade.
That's a great trade.
Do you think the White Sox can replicate that with Hauser and get sort of an underrated guy? Like right now, Bergoya is the starting shortstop in Birmingham. He's got like a 6% K rate, decent defender. It's like all contact, but it looks like a guy who has got utility potential at the major leagues. And it's like we got something out of a guy who's like a soft tossing lefty or whatever the fuck. What about for the bulk starter? Can they do that well again?
Let me tell you my trade strategy for this offseason or for this trade deadline. And one, I think they should trade Adrian Hauser as soon as possible because he is a bulk starter. So the longer that he's not on the market, or so the longer he's not on that team, the less value he has.
Correct. Yep.
Because he's not a playoff starter that you're really going to rely on, right? Like so I think the sooner they trade him, the better. I would trade for every goddamn center fielder that exists. Like anyone who can hold the position in center field, just give me all of them. Anyone that we think might accidentally hit 10 home runs as a center fielder, I want that guy. Let's just load the minors. They got none of them. They got zero of these guys.
Yep.
That is the biggest gap in the thing. And if we're just going volume, fucking get them all. Yeah, like every guy that you trade Brandon Eisert, you get a 17-year-old that can't hit a lick but can play the greatest center field you've ever seen.
I thought they did that with Matt Thaiss, Chorizy. They went and got Drew Baker, and then I'm seeing Brooks Baldwin starting in center field in Charlotte. It's like, what the fuck, man? Put this guy you just traded for in center field. He shouldn't he be able to handle that position? Apparently not. No one can.
I don't know. I like Drew Baker is the start of it. Like they're on the right direction. Just all of them. Give me all of them. I want them all.
Absolutely.
All right. Now let's talk about the more recency in the team. We did have two really nice saves this past week. I was shocked that they took the series from the Giants. Let me just say, I was shocked, and I was very happy to see it. Yep. I enjoyed my weekend quite a bit. But whose save was more electric, Grant Taylor or Mike Batman Vassell?
And Chorizy, some of these topics, I was thinking about it a little bit. We are in the ballpark. We are observing, especially in our homestand. I do want to visit more of these going forward. And so we have the comparison of Saturday, the White Sox only scratched one run with Andrew Benintendi's home run. We thought they got a second one, but
that's
apparently
the funny thing.
missed home plate, and we're looking at the scoreboard like, when are they going to put the fucking second run up there? And I'm looking up on Twitter, and it's like, I see the slide, and I'm like, oh, shit, he didn't come close to touching home plate, so it's still only 1-0. Fuck.
That is a weird piece of this, is that I think like half the crowd in the park thought we had a 2-run lead in that ninth inning.
I think that's right. Because people we talked to afterwards are like, wait, what? And then they're looking at their phones like, oh, it was 1-0. What happened? What happened there? So the White Sox opted to bring Grant Taylor in the eighth inning. And when we were watching Chorizy, you and I turned to each other almost immediately and we're like, a 2-inning save, right? And we're like, kind of let's see how this goes. I mean, White Sox Day was there too. And it's like, as long as he doesn't give up too many pitches or whatever. And I think he threw 12 pitches in that eighth inning. And so
in the bottom of the order. And
he crushed the bottom of the order. Absolutely. It was absolutely electric.
8-9-1, I think he went. Yeah.
8-9-1. And then he didn't really have any problems with the top of the order either. It was a pretty, it was generally for 2-inning, really quiet save, Grant Taylor. He's Chorizy, he's clean innings. He's got 102 at the top of the zone, real easy. He doesn't seem very flappable when he gets behind a hitter. He's just like, well, I'm just going to attack them. The slider is incredible, absolutely ridiculous. And it was a high-end reliever doing high-end reliever things. But let me tell you something, okay? When a guy walks out there with just one out in the eighth inning to try to come in and pick up the save, and he looks like your cousin's fat friend who you're like, what? Who does this guy even pitch? Does he even know what's going on? And he comes and he immediately throws a fucking ground ball double play to get out of that eighth inning, out of all that fucking trouble. And then he does render a walk in the ninth inning. But again, throws a ground ball, gets himself out of trouble. To me, the Mike Vassell save was so exhilarating because it was like, we can't put our save master in here because we used him 2 innings yesterday. You have to bail our asses out again. Like you had to in Cincinnati when we were dying for a fucking victory. We had no closer. We threw you in. You're a starter. You're a starter by trade. You're just we're going to put you in any role. Chorizy, and I don't mean to demean Mike Vassell this way, but it was like in dodgeball in the semifinals when Gordon Pibb takes on the entire other fucking team and wins. That's how excited I fucking was that he got that save on Sunday. So for me, Mike Vassell, more exhilarating just because of the way he goes at it.
I think you're falling in love with Mike Vassell. And
I am in love with Mike Vassell.
I think this is part of it. And like, I like Mike Vassell. He was good on the stretch. I like the whole Batman thing.
Yep.
But a 6-out save from a guy who's throwing absolutely demonic fireballs at a team. And he strikes out Rafael Devers to start the inning in the ninth. And then
there was never a question. It was like he just buried Rafael Devers. Like, get the fuck out of here.
When he got past Flores, we're like, Dominic Smith does not have a fucking chance. We were already shaking hands up in the stands. We're like, Dominic Smith's gonna strike out. And then it happened. And it was just like I loved that. And what was great about it, Beef, is that when you look back at the earlier part of the season, like think of that Detroit game where like Jordan Leisure is just getting everyone to 2 strikes and then ended up walking them until he fucking walks in a run. Like we recently went through that disgusting pain. Yep. And when you get a guy like this to go like the 6-out save, I mean, that's fucking beautiful. I loved every second of it.
6-out save, then 5-out save. I think there's very few similarities between Grant Taylor and Mike Vasil, but the one similarity that I do see for both of these guys is they ain't afraid of nobody.
That's true.
They're fucking pitch, and that's it. And I love to see that in these guys. I love to see. I don't like seeing all the, nipping at the end. Just go make your fucking pitch and make that guy hit it. Make the motherfucker hit it. And both these guys really do it, and they're fun to watch in very different ways. Extremely different ways. It's fun to watch.
Grant Taylor went at Rafi Devers like he was the biggest Red Sox fan on the planet.
And he tore him to shreds. It's like, and I'm going to be honest with you. I realized after that 8th inning on Saturday that Grant Taylor had to be number 1 on my trustworthy list, Chorizy, because I was in my heart, and I might even turn to you and said this: do not bring in Steven Wilson. Keep Grant Taylor's ass in this game. I need that with all of my soul. And I knew it right then. I was like, I need this guy out here. I want him out here.
I thought we were going to get Steven Wilson the next day. And,
I did too.
And I was like, oh, definitely Steven Wilson. And then when Vasil came back out, I was like, you know what? I like this.
Let's go.
This is good. But speaking of electric, so we're talking about electric saves. Let's talk about Chase Meidroth's slide into second on Sunday with a stolen base attempt. The Sox offense has been terrible. So is this the most electric play of the White Sox season on offense? Stick to offense.
Chorizy, I don't think it's even close. And what's funny about it is we have a great vantage point from we don't have a great vantage point for a lot of stuff from 108. But for this particular play, we had a terrific vantage point. It starts off with the catcher, and I think it was Patrick Bailey, flipping the ball almost sidearm so he could get it out quickly, because the pitch wasn't one where he can get up and set and throw a good strong throw. So what he decided was to do a quick throw and flip it. The throw is absolutely right on the fucking money. And Meidroth's out by enough where he is able to make a decision, an audible, if you will, Chorizy, in that he's going to slide and pull up and pop up and then step around the 10. In the section, I stood up immediately and I pointed, safe. And Wally Money is like, what the fuck is this asshole doing standing up?
So he goes, I clearly remember this moment.
Yeah.
He was, one thing you shouldn't do is try and stand up before you get to the base. And I think it was Aloha Mr. Hand was like, that's how you get around a fucking tag. And we're like, okay, well, now we're in review.
Yeah.
And then, it was, we see the first review and like the crowd just goes nuts. Like it is like people are standing clapping. Yeah. It's like, they better overturn this or the Louise are going on the field.
Absolutely right. And I think about, more broader on Meidroth. Meidroth is very widely loved in White Sox fandom currently. And I think more so than the player he actually is. But one thing that is nice about Meidroth is that you can see the baseball IQ at work nearly all the time. Like he does understand the game at a level where it allows his small body and some of his shortcomings, to round out, and he can be a decent player. I don't think he's a long-term shortstop. I don't even know. I don't think he's a long-term leadoff or second hitter.
I don't think he's a shortstop,
but I think he's a guy who is definitely on a roster. Maybe he's hitting towards the bottom, a good second baseman, and occasionally, when some weird shit happens, he's going to make a play like that, a ridiculous play that. That saves an out. And that's an incredible play to save an out. And it was just fun to watch the White Sox do something like that, where we're usually on the other end of those plays.
I have this written in my notes, Beef. It's just like that is absolutely what happens to us all the time.
Right. Yep.
And we'll get to that in the next one too. So like that's I get into that a little deeper on the next one. But I will say on this one, I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
I don't think that's the most electric play of the season. I think the most electric play of the season on offense was Tim Elko for his first goddamn hit in the major leagues, being a 3-run homer to take the lead and ultimately win the game in Miami. And the reason I say that is because while I really enjoyed the Meidroth play, it was quickly nullified by the next pitch was an out.
Yeah, it's overall impact
innings
wasn't
over,
strong.
and like you didn't. you know, like he didn't even score, you know.
That's
so
right.
It's just like it was cool, but
Right.
like, you know, I think we've got a little worn on that, you know, having a lot of friends that are Cubs fans where it's like Javi Baez made that really cool play last inning, then he threw 4 balls into the stands, you know, like
Right.
So I think that there's a little bit of that, you know, it didn't mean anything. And that takes a little bit of electricity out of it. But I agree with you in terms of like that we talked about this before. He's what everybody promised us Nick Madrigal was going to be. And
Right.
It's like,
and
oh, this guy's really smart. And
from
like,
the IQ standpoint,
and he's
correct.
And he's going to overplay his position. Like we watch him at shortstop. I still don't think he's a shortstop because we watched this in the park and the metrics didn't bear it out yet.
Not yet. Yeah, exactly.
But when there's a tough play, when he's got to make a really hard throw, he does not have control over where he's throwing that ball because he's trying to put everything into it. And it's like It's like watching a guy who throws 95 miles per hour trying to throw 100 miles per hour, and it's like, well, you just hit the Durham Bull. Like that's not very good. So I think that but the fact that he's playing his like to and past his limits, is intriguing to me, and I like that, and I think if we're talking about like things that we'll remember about this season, I'll probably remember that play a lot longer than I remember the Tim Elko home run, because I'll be thinking about my draft more and more and more.
Right, because he's probably going to be around here. A couple comments I want to get to. John Carney says, yeah, he stopped short, like Frank Costanza. Yeah, that's a great thought on that. And then Jerry O'Sullivan says, if my draft becomes the next Joey Cora, I'd be thrilled. Yeah, I mean, like you don't realize the level for second baseman. Like, I mean, my draft, it wouldn't. He could be middle of the league second baseman, and he wouldn't have to hit a ton. He could just be the on base guy that he is without much power and like just good defense. Like the defense is passing right now at short. I agree with you, Chorizy. The metrics are bearing out that he's better than he looks to us when we're watching it on a day-to-day basis, and so I think that's going to come back. But I think as a second baseman, I think he would easily be plus. I mean, just with all the stuff he does. So
let's
let's
get a couple of these in here. So the game is on. So I get the Slater. Oh my God, Slater on Cycle Watch. 3-2 White Sox. So Slater has a triple and a home run.
Yep.
So he needs the double and the single to fill in the cycle, and it is the third inning.
Yeah, the third inning. In fact. Yes.
So hey, let's go. Let's see it.
Let's do it.
I wouldn't mind the Sox putting up a lot of runs. I'm going to be up drinking. We'll see how.
You and me both. Let's go, baby.
But before we get away from White Sox talk, Beef, there's another guy with some defensive prowess that I think was unexpected, because I was told, I don't know if you were told this, Beef, but you know, there's a lot of prospect gurus out there telling us who's good, who's not. I was told Edgar Carroll was a bad defender.
The metrics are still trying to tell us that, Chorizy.
Maybe he is.
Yeah.
But he's picked off 2 runners at third base behind their backs, including an awesome one this past Saturday in the 7th inning. There was a strike him out, throw him out. And I think Devers was batting. So Devers strikes out, guy gets thrown out at third. The horniness level in the stadium was out of this world.
We were going berserk on that play. The strike him out, throw him out, double play. Picking the guy at third is insane shit. Like, never happens.
It was awesome. I mean, it was on fire in the section. And this is a tight game too, right? Like, crazy game. So this is your question though. So I don't want to act like I came up with this, but you said, since he's pulled this awesome trick twice now, is Lurie Legend now forgiven for getting picked off of third base back in Colorado back in the day? Let's get a drink first.
Let's do it.
Jackie Trier says, what's on the menu for second dinner? Beef? Chipotle? Chipotle ain't open.
No, nothing I got to order. Maybe heat up a frozen pizza. We'll see what's in the fridge. But yes, I'll be hitting second dinner later. Thanks, Jack.
I got some pizza in the fridge. I think we're gonna get down. I think it's gonna be a good day. So like I alluded to this earlier, Beef. There's a lot of Lurie negativity out in the world. Me and Dave were arguing about this shit the other day, and I think some of it is your fault. Because you renamed Danny Mendick Jr. to White Lurie, and that's your fault. that bringing up Lurie to everybody.
I thought it was fun.
Now you're trying to bring up Lurie again in this. But that is something that with the Lurie haters, I agree. His base running, there were times it would just drive me insane. Like getting picked off. He got picked off at first so much. And when he got picked off at third in that game, I was beside myself.
It's like, how does this happen?
I'll say this, Beef. I can forgive Lurie, but I cannot forget. That's a
fair. That's fair.
And that's why I to the previous thing we were talking about with Chase Mydroth, I am so glad to just see that we're on the other side of these things. That we're not the ones making these stupid mistakes. They're still making stupid mistakes every now and then.
All teams do.
But the fact that we're taking advantage of other people's stupid mistakes, it's like that little ray of sunshine when it's fucking pouring rain, right? So like it's nice to see these things. It's nice to see these things, especially out of the really young guys that you're looking at and going like, these are the guys that are going to be on the team for a while, and they're not doing the fucked up thing. They're taking advantage of someone else doing the fucked up thing. That's all we've been asking for. That's all we've been asking for years.
Chorizy, even in 2021, when the White Sox were cruising to a division and beating the shit out of the AL Central, and then in 2022, we as a group kind of thought the White Sox, I got to be blunt with this, they just play kind of dumb. They were kind of a dumb playing team. And then obviously as the talent started to erode and they traded guys away or guys left free agents or whatever, it showed more in 2023 and even last year in 2024 as a dumb team. And so what I wonder is, you're right, it is the young guys. So I wonder how much of it is, they brought this new staff in, and Walker McKinven's supposed to be an ace at positioning and game planning and doing all this stuff. I wonder how much is him or how much is the young guys that they brought in here are just baseball dorks, baseball nerds. They're never going to marry a celebrity, Chorizy, but they're going to know about fucking ball, and they're going to make these plays. They're going to watch a tendency of a player to lead off a little too far on third base and get a little sleepy over there and fucking pick them off. They're going to watch a tendency of a lazy looking tag that they think they could avoid at second base, and they're going to pull a little trick that normally should never work. If the person just keeps the tag there, that never works. But that he picked the one spot where that shit would actually fucking work. I wonder how much of each is figuring into this. And Jerry O'Sullivan says young guys are all from different organizations. Yeah, so is the coaching staff and everyone else that they brought in. It is all new blood,
which is good.
Doing all this stuff, which is good. I agree.
We weren't going to get it from what we had. No, we weren't going to get it from what we had. Beef, I be totally honest with you. I hope they're all dorks. I don't care if they are terrible interviews. I hope they're all married to Marla Hooch. I don't give a fuck. As long as when there's a rundown, they're executing it perfectly, like we saw Miguel Vargas do recently.
Yes.
As long as when there's a play at home, I can count on the catcher catching the ball and tagging the player. Like I'm a simple man, Beef. I don't need a lot, man. I don't need a lot. So like, yeah,
my lollipops up here. Okay,
I don't want to do the full quote. It's a family show now. This is a
Donnie here says exactly. Little Ray, indeed. IQ, plate discipline, good decisions on the paths, executing pitches. They're still awful, but they have buildable pieces. Yes, they do. This is the difference in watchability. Like Donnie just summarized all the stuff that makes the 2025 team much more watchable and like a team you can root for as opposed to the 2024 team.
Now we just need money. That's the last of it. The last
HPS. Let's go.
All right, Beef. Game's looking good, so we might want to jump over to it. So it's about time for thank yous and GFYs. BeefLoaf, who are you thinking of GFY?
I am going to thank Mrs. BeefLoaf for taking the reins on the Anjou and doing a great interview with Christine Brennan from USA Today on her new book on Caitlin Clark. Also, a big thanks to Kathy for brokering the deal. Wild how that all came together, but I think it was a perfect marriage. The interviewer and interviewee just worked great together and super fucking. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now because obviously we're proofing all this stuff. Terrific interview. If you haven't seen it yet, go to the 108 YouTube page and check out the interview. Absolutely awesome.
I cannot agree more. Just great interview. And I was, very interested in a lot of things that they were talking about. Christine Brennan was fantastic. Obviously, Mrs. Beef was fantastic. Mrs. Beef, I've got all weekend to tell you how great you were. So I'm going to talk about how good Christine Brennan was. Like just her thoughts and just like some of the things that she said, around just like how she coaches people. Like I thought was like, some people just need to hear that, man. Some people just need to hear that. And like the things that she was saying, I think would stoke so much confidence in some of these people that we see come up in the industry. So
agreed.
I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. For my thank yous, I have a thank you and a GFY. They're for the same people. So I'm going to thank the Chicago Sports Bums for another great tailgate this weekend. It was great to see most of the people that were there. And that's a joke. Don't feel like it's not you. Don't worry. Right. But yeah, it was awesome. They did a great job. They may have broken the smoker barrier in tailgating, so I'm very excited for that. I think they're pushing the boundaries. I like them pushing the boundaries.
I like that too, Tracy. I was pleased with that as well.
They got a tequila sponsor coming in for the next one, so I'm psyched about that. Because Beef, I think I'm with you. Like I like the whiskey stuff that they do, but like pregame, I'm much more a tequila guy. Much more a tequila guy.
I am as well. Yeah.
I think we'll be good there. But I'm also going to GFY them. And Beef, I don't know if you listened last night, but they did a whole thing on like 90s alternative, and they had like these different they were doing the three albums, Fuck, Marry, Kill for these albums.
Yep, I was watching that.
Two things happened. One, I think two of them, maybe three of them, killed the Foo Fighters self-titled album.
Terrible.
Which is really the last good Foo Fighters album.
It is their best album. It was their first album.
Their albums, they're great live. Their albums have got progressively bad. It's a chronological order badness.
Yes.
But then also that could have gone by the wayside. But then Johnny said the Aragon has great sound, and Dougie agreed with him.
No,
both of those things are just offensive, guys. You got to think about your audience a little bit. Who you're offending out there? All right, when you
maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they were.
I think they were like, this is going to get brought up on other podcasts. They knew.
Just saying. Respect it.
But no, love you guys. But the Aragon has terrible sound, and everybody in Chicago will let you know. But thanks everybody for jumping in, having a good time with us. Everybody who sent in grades and feedback for us, we appreciate it, and we'll talk to all of you soon. Let's go watch this game and get a win. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for spending your little Friday with us. Hope you enjoyed yourself. We gave you your fill of baseball, beer, and bullshit. Now it's time for you to go do horny stuff. We'll see you next week. Espanol. That's adios, motherfucker.